Well, all right. Hello, everybody. Jeff here, and guess what we have? We have this giant. Oh my God! When I say giant, it is huge. Sharp Aquos TV. I don't know if I can see a symbol on it anywhere, but either way, trust me when I say it is a Sharp Aquos TV that is a friend of mine had for a long time, and it just stopped working on it, stopped getting power. This is the model number here, the LC-60LE810UN, and this TV just stopped working. I did a little bit of research online to find out a common cause or fault with these things, and a lot of them, they will have like a blink code going on in the front, and it's usually some LED strip in them. This one has nothing. It seems that something's happened to it and power is not getting to the TV at all. I've tested so far. It's plugged in right now. I was just testing it again. I did test continuity on the leads that go up to here, and when I got the TV, it was actually just like this. There was no back panel here, so I'm not sure if something came off or what the deal was, but either way, it's a buddy's of mine. He was going to throw it away. I told him, hey, let me have a look. I'd love to see if I can dig into this thing and find out what's wrong with it or not. But here we are. So far I haven't done anything yet. I am going to try to open up this back panel and get back with you guys when we get inside and see if we can see anything obvious and see if we might be able to get this TV working again. All right, so multiple screws later, as you can see, I've removed the back panel. Pretty straightforward to remove. And just for the first time, taking a look at some of the parts and components. From what I understand, I think this is the driver board for the TV, the main driver board. This is where I suspect my problem lies, and this is the power board for these. Now, these things run, to replace them, I've seen them anywhere from like 40 bucks, which wouldn't be so bad if I had to replace it, but everywhere that had it for 40 bucks was out of stock. Every place I see it in stock is about $130 to $150 right now, but I'm going to keep my eye out. My hope is that I can do some troubleshooting on this board here and maybe find out if a fuse has gone or if there's a capacitor that's blown that can be replaced. I will state that at a very first quick glance, nothing looks suspicious, nothing looks suspect. So I have a feeling it's going to be a little difficult to do anything except for check voltages going into and out of this board to find out if it looks like it's got problems with it or not. I was hoping, really hoping, that something would jump out at me on this board right away, or on any of these boards, as a matter of fact, that I could just easily see. So I'm going to take some time. I'm going to use my good old multi-tool, or my multimeter, go through, check continuity between some points, check the fuses, and see if I can find anything that jumps out to me as something that may have been causing this problem before I have to go down the whole route of trying to replace this power board to see if that was it would even be worth it. But I mean, this board is gigantic. I mean, look at my hands. It is, 2.5 of my hands wide, and that's one of the reasons I'm having trouble getting a nice view for you guys of this to see it, because it is just a much more massive TV than you would think, and it's just, I have no good service for it. I would have no good way to mount my camera while you can see me working on it. So I'm gonna do some stuff off camera and let you guys come back if I see anything crazy. Amazingly, I did not have to go very far. It's only been a few seconds since I stopped recording, and I figured here's where the power comes in. I was going to check both of these, assuming that they're fuses, and that one is good. This one, however, already, this fuse seems to be blown. And if I look at the words on the board, it is a double pole neutral fusing. They do look like they're the same component, I actually can't tell if that's probably not for that. They do look like the same component. I would have to get a schematic and see just to be sure, but I have a feeling that this fuse is blown. That might be the entire problem. Now the question is, why is it blown? Is it blown because there was a surge and it blew to protect the TV, or is it blown for other reasons, and if I replace it, more of this board is going to go? That is a good question that I don't know, and I don't have any of these particular sized fuses right now, so I don't quite know the best way to to test this. I might remove this entire board out of this housing, do some more checking of it. I'd have to see these two connectors look very similar. Are they the same size? Hold on. They're not the same size. Okay, good. I was worried about being able to get them mixed up, but it does not look like you can. They're not the same size. Okay, I'm going to remove this board, do some looking at it, and see if I can get any more ideas of what this fuse is, and if there's a way to test it with components that I have, just to even know, like potentially, which is probably a bad idea, potentially just short it just to see if it gives me power. And if not, then we know it's a problem. But I don't know if that's a good idea to do or not. Well, I know it's not a good idea to do, but will it test the fault is the question. Can I even move this fuse here? Well, that probably wouldn't help because then I'd be missing a fuse there. So we're going to look at what this component is. So I looked up to be safe what it means to have a double pole neutral fusing, which it says right there on the board. And apparently it's a big no-no in a lot of places. Interestingly enough to read, but what it really means is that each line of this, both the line and the neutral side, have a fuse built into them, which is, I guess, can offer more protection in some places. A lot of people say it's not even necessarily needed, but it could be extra protection, but it's, like I said, it's against some code in certain countries, so I don't really understand why. So I did plug this in right now. This is live, and I tested. I do have 120 volts or 125 volts coming here directly at the end of the plug. Right before the fuses, across them both, if I measure that, I get about 121 volts. And on the other side of the fuses, I get nothing. So that does confirm my suspicion that this fuse is definitely blown. I did check on the other side of the board. Let me switch this off, unplug it as well. The other side of the board right here, where the fuse mark is, as you can see, they are both fuses. I know it's upside down, but it's the F7000 and 7001 are the two different fuses that are here from the schematic. So those really are fuses. I think what I'm going to do, just for testing purposes, just to see if we can get life into this TV, since in theory it's a double fuse situation that I could probably bridge straight across. I don't want to do that. What I am going to do is get one of these extra fuse pieces from a car fuse kit, just to put it on there, put like a 10 amp fuse in here or so, just to power this on, to make sure, for one, if it doesn't give me any explosions or anything like that, to offer some type of protection. This is not the way it's supposed to be. This is just a temporary thing to see if it gives any life into this thing before I go looking for this part to see if that's really my problem. Who knows? I could blow the fuse immediately because, for one, it's not designed for this application. It also could be something else that caused the problem blowing the fuse. And so we will be able to test that. But if it does come on and give me power, I will disconnect it all, go purchase one of these replacement fuses, and see if that fixes our issue with this TV. So give me a minute to wire this guy up in there, and we can do some testing and see what happens. All right, everybody. So this is what I have done so far on the back of the board across that fuse. I have wired this in. That's a 10 amp fuse. And I chose 10 amp. I mean, I could have chose a 5 amp, but it says right here, it looks like this fuse is a 5 amp 250 volt. Clearly this is a DC voltage fuse. So it might blow right away just with the AC current. I'm not sure how that's going to, or how that, with the AC voltage, I'm not sure how that's going to work. But I've not plugged this board into anything else. This is not connected right now. I just have it in right now, back in its chassis, and I'm going to power it on just to see if we get any loud pops, anything like that. And if we do, then something went terribly wrong. Otherwise, if not, I will try to connect some of the components on the main board and see if we actually have anything life in this TV. Here we go. Okay. Power's on. Nothing is smoking. Let me do a real quick voltage check across the end of these fuses and see. I just heard my printer, which is hooked up to the same surge suppressor I had turned off, just turned on. Unfortunately, I can't do this holding the camera, so hang tight. Well, it's interestingly sorry. It is interestingly giving me a reading, but it's not a reading I would like to see. It is kind of jumping all over the place and making an interesting noise in the meter. And I'm not sure if that's because of the different power levels that's going through here or what, but it is technically functioning. I wonder if it's getting extremely, well, it's not getting hot or anything like that. Let me see if I can get this in a position where you can see what's happening. Yeah, that's a little that's a little interesting to say the least. So, do I take this any farther? Do I plug other things in and see if we have power? Maybe. All right, so I've tried to prop this TV up to where we'll be able to get to the power buttons and see if there's any light and see if we have any life when I do this, because I have plugged the pieces back in. Like I said, this is only temporary. This is just to see if I think this truly is my problem or not. If we're getting any power going to the board, if the TV has any life in it. Hopefully it was as simple as this fuse and I'll have to get a real replacement, but here we go. Okay, it is powered on. It's plugged in. What do we have in the front? I don't see... Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, guys. That is amazing. This TV has now powered on. And I can't see those buttons anymore that I turned the flashlight off. If I hit buttons, yeah, look at that. Look at those different inputs. I don't have it connected to anything. Did it just die again? No, it's still, this is fantastic. I will I'll be honest. I had no thought process that was actually going to work. Let me turn this off before something goes wrong, because I need to get this out of here. This is not the final replacement. I need to now get me one of these fuse replacements, and this TV has just come back to life for hopefully the price of just that fuse. So I'm gonna have to order a fuse, and when it comes in, I will bring you guys back for putting this thing together, actually getting it hooked up to something that has a signal, maybe in a better place than sitting on the futon in my room, so that we can actually, you know, see this thing in action. Yeah, I can't believe that. I did purchase the replacement parts here, which this is just a pack I bought from Amazon of a bunch of 250 volt ceramic fuses. It's I think 150 of them in various amperages, and there's a 5 amp one in this packet that I'm going to be replacing that with right there. And let me pull that board out and start working on the soldering and see if we can get this thing to have a permanent fix. All right, everybody, I know this isn't the greatest angle for something like this, but it's the best I have in the small confines that I have to work with right now. So on my soldering station on here, I'm going to remove my temporary fuse that I had placed on here. I can reroute some of these wires before I burn through them. So let's get some of these out of here. Just soldering that where that fuse was. There we go. So my plan is to see if we can use a solder sucker and get rid of most of the solder on these through holes. There's one. Now, let's see if we can get this other side to come off. It just maybe, how hot is it gonna get? Actually, you know what? The the ceramic caps I bought are actually not through-hole caps. So if I get one of these 5 amp ones out, let me make sure there's a 5 amp one. I just dropped one on the floor. They're really hard to read. Yeah, this is a 5 amp 250 volt cap, but it's not through hole like the ones currently on the board are, if you can see. So maybe actually what I want to do is snip that one off so I can keep its through hole leg. I want to solder this to it instead and actually replace it back through the board like it was before. Let's see if that would work. Look at the connection. Please out. That work. Reinforce. Not this one. And now let's test continuity. That's the good one. That's the new one. So we definitely have continuity going on. Time to connect it back to the TV. We'll connect this back into the TV, and I'll be back with you shortly. All right, here we go. All reconnected. You can see that's the fuse. That, I mean, it doesn't look like the prettiest thing in the world, but it's just because I got, you know, a leg connected in there. If I ever have to come back in and fix this again, I know exactly what to do. I just get a better through hole, either a better through hole resist or fuse, or I would just take it all the way out and add full legs in there. So let's get this thing plugged in. Let's turn the power switch on, and let's just walk around to the front and see if we get a signal. And there we go. Look at that. So I don't have the remote for this thing, so I can't do a lot of testing with it right now, but let me get this thing sealed back up. Let's get this giant cover back on. Try to get it turned around into an area where you guys can actually see it because it's so big, and move it into a place where I can actually get a full view of the TV, get it hooked up to some type of input, and let's make sure everything that I have access to be able to do without the remote is functional from this point. But I think we have ourselves a fixed 60-inch sharp Aquos TV. And to look, so this could have been anything. I just knew my buddy said it didn't turn on, and I told him I'd take a look at it for him. And I was thinking potentially, after doing some research, that this whole power board would have had to go. A lot of people talked about the light code. He didn't say anything about a light code to know if it was an LED strip issue or not. He just said it wouldn't work. It didn't mean, you know, people aren't always forthcoming with exactly what is wrong with things, so I didn't know. This turned out to be, I thought was going to be very hard, because when I had no power at all, I was like, okay, maybe it's something in here. That's the most likely cause. I'm either going to have to replace this whole board, which are going for a lot of money, or I can find out the component. I got super lucky because the first thing I did was come straight down here to the fuses, which are the obvious place to start. After I checked the cord, make sure it had continuity. And second thing I tried was that fuse right there. No continuity. And here we go. I tested it, realized that putting something in there did fix the problem. Then I got the real fuse that's meant for this to replace it for a permanent fix. And that's all there is to it. So let me show you guys the final working product. All right, so here we go. Just showing that I hooked a Chromecast up to this thing, and we have a picture. This is great. So everything's put back together with this TV. It is all back to normal. I contacted the owner, and he was just shocked and amazed that this thing could come alive again, because he was just throwing it away. And now for the price of what, 5 cents technically, because the whole container of ceramic capacitors cost me $8. It's got 150 of them in here. So, you know, in theory, divide it out, comes to about 5 cents a piece. Granted, you would argue that I wouldn't have bought, you know, I had to buy these in the first place. I didn't already have them. So we can say I put $8 into this TV to get it up and running, but I'm okay with that. So thanks for watching this Fix-It video where we successfully were able to bring this Sharp Aquos 60-inch TV back to life. Until next time.